I really think it's important not to let others define your boundaries. You are the only one who can decide what you're capable of. It all started when I was about 6 years old. There was a county fair in the little city I grew up in Utah, and Momentum, a climbing gym out there, actually brought a wall to the fair, and they had all the holds were gray, and then this one route that was pink, and whoever got the pink route first won like a little pass to their gym for like 10 days or something, and like a prize out of the prize bucket. I was just hooked ever since. I was begging my mom. I was like, please let me start climbing. Like, I want to do this every day. Before I started climbing, I was watching competitions every day at lunch during school. When most kids are sitting there like talking to their friends, I was the one like in the corner looking at their phone, wishing I was like competing. So when I first started climbing, my training was interesting. I don't know. I just got in the gym every second I could from day one. And I just climbed, and I would work on the same climb for hours until I did it. I think a lot of what motivates me personally to climb is just the peace of mind it gives me. There aren't many other things in my life that really make all my thoughts center the way climbing does. It's the kind of thing where every thought has to be about getting to that next move. Other things, it's so hard for me to only think about what I'm doing, but you're really living in the moment when you climb. It's cool to see that passion can like radiate to others, and that I could actually impact people's lives by doing what I love. I want to push myself in my own boundaries, and I want to, see the world with my climbing. In a couple weeks, I'm moving out to Utah to train at Momentum with a lot of the pros out there. It's a really unique opportunity. They contacted me while I was out there this summer and was just like, hey, we've seen you climbing, and we want you to come train with us. What would we have to do to make that happen? I've had my eyes on Seco Block for a while. That was a competition that was just really intriguing to me. I started really training my sport climbing and speed. I was really training my speed a lot. We would go from like a hard 5'11" to a hard 5'12" to a 13 and just like speed up and then do it over and over and over. At the competition, like all my fingers were hurting. Like I just wasn't feeling good, and I wasn't in a good mental spot. I was really having trouble committing to any moves. I threw to this crimp on the overhang, and I kind of tweaked my hand a little bit in here, but I kind of just blew it off because it wasn't bad and all my fingers were screwy anyway. But I was just so frustrated with how I climbed, and for the rest of that day I just climbed, and I climbed really hard, and I was just pushing myself, kind of just beating myself up a bit for how bad I climb. I did a very similar move. I threw to this crimp and I just heard a loud pop, and I couldn't move my hand. And just like sharp pain shot through these two fingers, and I was just like, crap, I've really screwed it up this time. And it was really scary. I think I was a bit in shock. I was like, my whole body was just like shaking, and I just like didn't move for like 5 minutes. I just kind of sat there in a ball. And then I got up and I went up to one of my friends and was like, what does this mean? And they were just like, you gotta get to a doctor. Like, that does not sound good. And the only way I could get to a doctor anytime soon was if I went to the ER. So we went to the ER. They basically told me I hadn't broken any bones and gave me a splint. And then I wore that for a couple weeks, and then we went to the doctor and they told me I had tore my A1 pulley. And they were actually pretty impressed with how mobile my hand was. And they told me I was pretty lucky because I had several other tendons that were on the verge of like pretty serious injury, and if it was any of the other ones, it would have been so much more serious. I would have had to have surgery and I would have been out a lot longer. And so I'm lucky it tore where it did, when it did, and that I got it in that splint and I was icing. A lot of what I like about climbing is really just pushing myself and my own boundaries, and you can't do that when you're injured. You have to stay smart and climb light and do the right training. It's still hard for me to like commit to a lot of moves that I know are going to put a lot of strain on that finger, because it's, I don't know, I still kind of like hear that pop in the back of my head sometimes when I'm shooting for a hard hole, and it just is, it's scary. I don't want to not be able to climb. I just want to climb all day, but it's hard when your body just can't handle that. I really was not in a good place before I started climbing, mentally at least, and socially. I had switched schools like every year, and it was rough. But as soon as I started climbing, everything like just started changing. I had a purpose, like something I wanted to do, and I had friends, like really awesome friends. I just got really motivated to make changes in my life. I started eating really, really healthy and working out, and I graduated high school 2 years early so that way I can travel around and climb and just, you know, do what I love. I wouldn't have many friends. I'd probably still be really like uncomfortable with myself and like insecure, which I'm really not now. I'm pretty happy with who I am, and I owe that to climbing. All I wanted to do was climb, and I told people this is what I want to do with my life. This is what I want to do as a career. And people kind of laughed and were like, that's nice, you know, good luck with that. But they started taking me a bit more seriously when they saw how I was improving and what I could do. And I really think it's important not to let others define your boundaries. You are the only one who can decide what you're capable of. You have to know that you're gonna fail, even at your own expectations for yourself. It's an ever-humbling sport. You never really win. You finish one project and then you just start reaching for the next one. I'm Lizzy Ellison, and this is why I climb.